All right. Did not prepare an intro. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the first installment of the College Loop podcast. I am Dylan Larck at your boy the Tank on Twitter. Joined today by Mr. Harrison Tarr and Daniel Locke. What's up?
What's going on, Dylan? Happy to be here. Excited to get this thing on its feet and get going. I'm going to do a quick little brief intro, make this the least awkward that it can be, right? My name is Harrison. I am with the Auburn Daily, previously of Eagle Eye TV, or I said Eagle Productions. I never worked there. How about WEGL 91.1? I'm an Auburn alum, and I'm currently talking to you live from Macon, Georgia. I have a pretty extensive background in print and I guess verbal is a weird word to put it, but I guess broadcast journalism. And I'm stoked to get this thing underway. I've been covering Auburn this is going to be my fourth year on the beat, and really excited to get to work. And I know that you've been grinding on early signing day, and I don't know how you're live right now, Dylan.
Oh, I am vibing and cruising along today. Dan, you want to give you a little quick intro?
Absolutely. I'm Daniel Locke. I'm currently a sophomore at Auburn, journalism major. Part of Eagle 91.1 FM, the co-sports director there, also of Eagle Eye TV, formerly of Causeway Crowd, the Occupy Report, covering some of Boston's wonderful pro sports teams. This will be my third season on the Auburn football beat. This is my third season on the Auburn football beat, third on basketball and baseball. Excited to be back working with these guys.
All right, and that leaves me. I'm Dylan Larck, as I said, at your boy the Tank on Twitter. I'm an alumni of Auburn as well. Everything Tarr said, I'm pretty much done it as well, except for the Auburn Daily. I was on staff at Eagle Eye where I did some writing, but Weagle is where I made my living. I loved radio. I was the football guy, and I will now be the host of the College Loop podcast. So, signing day. What a busy day it was for us social media nerds like myself, who made over 20 graphics today, a lot within the same hour.
RIP the phone operator somewhere that I'm imagining in my head that's connecting yours and I's phone line today. I'm praying for that guy today.
I woke up at 7:30 a.m. My phone was below 20% by 9 o'clock. I was getting text messages left and right from Mr. Harrison Tarr giving me names. And them graphics were just getting shot out of a cannon on Twitter and Instagram. It was fun.
We had a good day. We got after it. We really did. We got better today. We went 1-0. I'm not going to say that ever again because one potato man once said we're going 1-0, so we're never going to use that. That's blacklisted on this podcast. But I really appreciate your work today, Dylan. For the people listening to us right now, very excited to have you guys on board and joining us on this journey. And I'm not even joking when I say I don't know how Dylan's functioning right now. I probably called him 35 times today. And I am just running on pure adrenaline at this point. So.
Let's say I am grooving and moving along. Daniel, how you feel about signing day today, baby?
It's great, man. I've been following along all day from Mobile, Alabama, where I'm currently at, doing a little clothes shopping while I'm following along. So, just had to multitask today that followed the very tail end of it while I'm covering the Auburn game tonight. So it hasn't had my undivided attention for much of the day, but because of your great work on social media, I didn't miss a beat and I was able to follow along, and ultimately I'm going to sleep happy tonight.
There's no need to worry. Me and Dylan had that on lock, baby. We had it on.
As I say, toss it out there. Auburn basketball did win the day, but that's not what we're talking about today. It is currently freezing on the plains. It is frigid in Auburn, Alabama. Auburn signed 19 players today during early signing day.
It's actually also very cold, to my understanding. I'm not in Auburn right now, but I saw an actual weather warning. I still get those on my phone because I haven't canceled it from undergrad. But yes, Dylan, huge signing day for first-year head coach Hugh Freeze, who I would like to remind you was hired at the end of November.
I'll say first-month head coach Hugh Freeze.
And Merry Flipmas to those who celebrate. I'm very excited to get through this list of guys. I know that we talked before the pod. We're going to go through the list. Dylan's going to be your tour guide, if you will, on the journey that is Auburn recruiting. And we're going to talk about the guys that we think are keynote. And I know that there's some dudes that the three of us are pumped to talk about. So.
Oh, yeah. So hop on my sleigh and let's get through this blizzard of signees, baby.
How many corny puns do you have?
Oh, I have loads. I have a whole Santa sack load.
I should have been the host for this. I would have muted you so long ago.
All right, to get started with the number one recruit of Auburn for Auburn today, Keldrick Falk from Highland Home, Alabama, the 4-star defensive lineman. And we want to talk about him a little bit.
No, yes, no. I mean, what a huge get for Freeze and company. And Hugh mentioned in his should I call him Hugh? Should I call him Coach Freeze? I don't know. I'm gonna rock with Hugh for now, and I'm gonna feel out the waters. Hugh mentioned in his press conference this afternoon that Kendrick Falk was a very big, time-consuming effort for him. And mind you, they could only visit once. They were granted that an extra visit due to the whole coaching change. That's a good rule from the NCAA. Don't even get me started on how I believe that you should be able to go on more than one visit. But this was such a huge turning point and a big get because it was a question mark until the 11th hour. And not to mention, I haven't even talked about the on-field stuff because I want to let Daniel talk. I know he wants to key in on this in a minute. I know you do as well, Dylan. But the on-field readiness is there. As a good friend of mine, Lindsey Crosby, friend of the program over at the Auburn Daily, says all the time, this is a hulking super team, and just a specimen. So great get for Freeze.
Daniel?
So if you look at this guy, I feel like all you have to do is look at his other offers and you will learn everything you need to know. Clemson, Florida, Florida State, Alabama. Nick Saban wants this guy. Dabo Swinney wants this guy. By extension, Auburn and Hugh Freeze should and got this guy. That sentence was bad. They should have wanted him. They went and got him. There you go.
I followed the logic.
And I just love the thought of a guy who was committed to Florida State, who had a really good year this past year, going 9-3, and he's like, you know what, this 5-7 team over here, I'm kind of vibing with what this guy's got going on over here. It's not every day you go from a Highland Home, Alabama, to the freezing cold place that is Auburn, Alabama.
No.
I think that something that's very interesting to keep in mind when we're talking about Falk and his flip from Florida State and what Norvell's got going on down there, because I think probably all three of us would be on the same page that FSU is on a trajectory that they could really be contending for the ACC next year. I think it's very interesting to talk about Freeze's selling point on how long it took for him to get not just Falk, but his family, his mother and father on board with the vision at Auburn. And that's going to be kind of a continued theme that you're going to see as we continue going through these guys. But something he really placed emphasis on was being able to sell. I mean, in between the lines, it's early playing time, but also the vision that Freeze has in such a short turnaround for Auburn. It was impressive. And not just in my opinion, most people's opinion, the biggest get of the day. So I'm sure Auburn fans are stoked.
And believe me, the season's flippings don't stop there, because the next recruit up is Darren Reed, 4-star defensive lineman, again from Columbus, Georgia, also flipped from another SU, but instead of an FSU, it's an LSU. So big get for the Tigers again there.
I'll let you field this one first.
Okay.
All right.
So a top 25 defensive lineman in this class that was just absolutely loaded with defensive line talent. And then once again, this is going to be a common theme for me because I just think it's the biggest telling point. Just look at his other offers: Ohio State, LSU, Clemson. So Dabo Swinney, Ryan Kelly. Thank you. Ryan Day. Sorry, it's very, very late. They wanted this guy. So Hugh Freeze should want this guy, and he went and got him. And that's the thing. Like, if you're able to go up against Dabo Swinney and Ryan Day, we're not at Nick Saban level yet. Okay, we're just not. All right. But these guys who are great head coaches, all those guys are, well, definitely Day and Swinney. I don't know about Kelly. Top 5 coaches in college football. And Freeze.
I wouldn't even go far enough with Ryan Day.
Harry, keep pushing.
Whatever. And Freeze went head to head and took that guy straight out of their grasp.
I also think it's very important to pay attention to what Hugh Freeze mentioned in his, and I'm going to keep referring to the press conference because I was hanging on to every word, all 27 minutes and 37 seconds of it, because I never thought Hugh was going to stop talking. It's nothing like arson. Oh my gosh, the dude would talk forever. But I think it's very important to notice the points of emphasis here. And Freeze has been very much, and it's refreshing to the sound, to the ears of Auburn fans, very emphatic that Auburn's going to be going after getting better in the trenches. They talked about they needed a better interior line. That's what they went out and got. And Freeze made a point to note after the bulk of the guys had signed in his afternoon press conference that they're not done, which leads me to believe the transfer portal should be getting quite interesting. You've heard of transfer to the SIP. Have you heard transfer to the barn? Not entirely sure how that shakes out yet. I'm not in the branding business at Auburn, so I couldn't tell you. But I thought that this was the right piece. And I don't want to sound like, this is just the right guy. Very talented kid, but the right get for Freeze on top of that. And he'll fit in nicely. And there will be opportunities sooner than later for him.
I mean, if you look at the going into the day, the weakest position at Auburn right now, and the biggest question mark is the defensive line. And today, Hugh Freeze acknowledged that hugely as he picked up not one, not two, not three, not even 5, 7 defensive linemen, including edge rushers. Like, this man
Still said they need to get better.
He's about to be getting after that passer. And with Keldrick Falk and Darren Reed leading the charge of the day, I mean, I was trying to find a picture of Darren Reed for the graphic, and that dude is massive.
Yeah, how'd you get him to fit?
Dude, I had to shrink him. Dude, it was impossible. It was near impossible. But just to keep it going, because I know Tarr is going to be long-winded about this guy. If you ever heard the phrase DBU, a couple of schools come to mind: LSU, Ohio State, kind of comes to mind. Miami, but Auburn is now DBU because it's not every day that Kyan Lee, the 4-star defensive back, flips over from Ohio State to the Auburn Tigers today from Ellenwood, Georgia. Tarr, take it away with Kyan.
All right, I'm really not gonna be as long-winded as you said that I'm gonna be, because I know we're working on a big class here. We got to get through. But good night, is this kid talented? This is far and away, and we're gonna get to this later about who we like the most out of this class and their long-term impact at Auburn, or your favorite recruit, if that's what you want to go with. And spoiler alert, this is gonna be my answer. And I'm gonna wind up circling back. What a huge flip! First off, anytime you flip a kid from Ohio State's one of those destinations, right? And it's tough to pull a kid away from there in the first place. This was nothing short of impressive, and the late push that Auburn made, it blew me away. A 4-star on per 24/7, 4-star composite. This kid's film speaks for itself. Not to sound like a broken record, and I know that I've been talking about this since I was blue in the face. Been speaking a lot with Zach Lockerby over at the Auburn Daily about him recently, and Zach's been kind of truthing me about Kyan Lee. And this kid, his film speaks for itself. Like I said, he's, I think, maybe NFL ready now. Fundamentally, not size point yet, but if you look at where he plugs in, I think he can get immediate time. I think that's going to happen. Maybe not in a starting role, but in a very significant role that could transition into a starting role by the end of the season, come SEC play. I think that this was far and away my, I guess, favorite is the obvious answer here, but also I was extremely impressed by Freeze's ability to pull someone from Ohio State and then still get someone like Falk. I think that's what in such a short time span. Huge get for Auburn. Very excited for what this kid's gonna be able to do. He's in an early enrollee in the spring, so I will be bringing my binoculars. And someone figure out what number Kyan Lee's wearing for Auburn, because I will be watching at A-Day.
I think you expect all of us there at A-Day, which is sometime in April. Daniel, thoughts on Kyan Lee?
So Hugh Freeze went, I'm going to keep saying this. I'm going to sound like a broken record. It's okay. He went up against Ryan Day and Kirby Smart and got this guy. 2 guys from Dogs 24/7, Rusty Manziel and Kip Adams. Rusty had him going to Ohio State. Kip had, these are crystal ball predictions, by the way, courtesy of 24/7 Sports. Kip had him going to Georgia. Steve Wilfrong, the director of football recruiting for 24/7, had him going to Ohio State. And Bill Krelick of Bucknuts, Ohio State Insider, had him going to Ohio State. So these are guys who know what they're talking about, who don't get these things wrong. Not a single person or of those I listed said he was going to Auburn. Mary Flipmas, Trovon Reed, let's get it.
And the wise words of Trovon Reed, we ain't finished yet.
I thought you were just gonna look at the camera and do the eyeballs emoji. the dude's gonna make me go cross-eyed looking at that.
Yeah, but obviously a huge get. Auburn's losing what, 2 secondary players?
Yeah.
And obviously this is a huge pickup. You can probably expect him to play day one almost without, probably not yet, but I think there's not enough talent
There's
there.
there's some rising dogs in that secondary. We'll have to talk about that.
Fruit, JD
There are-
Rhyme.
Yep, there are some dogs. in that
There are
secondary.
some dogs, but kind of just to move on with the class. Sylvester Smith, another flip guy from Munford, Alabama, commitment came from Tennessee, decommitted, flipped to Auburn, signed the day, the 4-star safety. Another safety with another 4-star, but next to him, Terrence Love from Fairburn, Georgia. And after that, my personal favorite name in this class, Wilkie Denard from Fort Pierce, Florida, the 4-star defensive lineman, yet another D lineman in this class. Got another.
Can I backtrack for 1 second?
Yeah.
And I don't mean to interject, but I low-key just let you skip over Terrence Love, and I don't know how I let you do that. I mean that in the most respectful way, but the defense got better, boys. This Auburn defense just getting and the secondary, it keeps getting better. And Terrence Love's immediate impact and his ability to go steal him from Langston Hughes out of UGA's backyard, and he was quite hardly recruited by University of Alabama. I'm very curious to see where he plugs in and where he fits in the long term, because I think that there's a lot of raw talent there. Don't want to misspeak. Not sure if he's an early enrollee in January. That's something I should know, and I have in my notes. I just can't find it right now. But that's another name. I'm falling in love with these DBs in the secondary. and you know what? I'm gonna do it, and I'm just gonna let it happen. As Black would say, I'm gonna book, and there's nothing you can do about it. All right. So I didn't want us to like skate past Terrence Love. You can continue.
Oh, you're fine. All right. Now, after Terrence Love, we talked about Wilkie Denard a little bit. He is the best name in the class, and that's non-negotiable. That is the best name in the class. Nothing beats Wilkie. Got to be honest with you.
I don't know. Rivaldo Fairweather.
You're right. It's a nice name. It's a very cool name.
One.
Wilkie,
Are
though.
sleeping on Sylvester Smith hard.
All right. Well, after Wilkie, we have Clay Whedon, who is a behemoth of a man.
This is what we call a hulking super team.
Yes, and guess what? He's not even the heaviest guy in the class.
Oh, Dylan, are you booging?
I mean, he's a height-wise, he's one of the biggest. When it comes to width, this boy's big.
Can we talk about him for just 1 second?
Yeah.
This is where one of those questions arise, and I'm going to toss this to Daniel really quick after I say this, where you wonder what the last staff was doing. And I'm not really in the business of throwing shade at really. I know I threw shade at Harsin earlier, but I'm really not in the business about talking about the Harsin era because that's behind us, right? That's the past. But this is one of those situations where you go, what on earth are you doing? He's a million times over an Auburn legacy. And Daniel, I'm going to let you speak to that point.
Right. Like Uncle played it for Auburn, went on, had an 8-year NFL career, which is far above the average. His dad played at Auburn. At least 2 cousins of his played at Auburn. And his brother, hopefully, will be another future Auburn Tiger. So you really have to wonder, A, did Harsin do his homework? B, did Harsin have the right people on his recruiting staff? You have to ask all these questions. C, does Harsin know what recruiting is? I guess not.
What about D, ask all of the above?
Right.
That's, and this is nothing to take away from Clay Whedon. Let me go and establish this kid, like you said, hulking super team. He's going to be a probably not 2023 field guy. 2024, he's going to be a force. I really believe that. But really, the underlying story here is it kind of felt like when he committed to Michigan State, it's like, well, I guess this is what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? And I don't want to put words into his mouth. Every kid's recruiting process is different, and I get it. You go through it your best. But this is like one of those things. If you're an Auburn fan, you're like, thank God. Like, what are we doing? I felt like that needed to be addressed. Dylan, sorry to cut you off.
Oh no,
For a
it's
second, I
fine.
got so scared. I didn't think we were talking about Colton Hood for a split second. I was so relieved when I found out that we were.
Daniel was about to throw his laptop. You're just going to hear this loud crashing noise on the podcast.
Yep.
Well, you talk about you said he's a legacy, right? You know what you're saying? Yeah. So, well, getting a legacy is one thing. We luckily got a guy out of our own backyard with Braden Joyner, 3-star interior offensive lineman from Auburn High. And talk about another big boy, 6'2". This boy's 330. He ain't moving.
Also, this is the last shade I'm going to throw, I think. But Braden Joyner might have been one of the better recruiting assets Brian Harsin had. The kid's committed to the university, wasn't committed to the staff. There's pros and cons to both of that, right? Braden's going to be an impact guy. He's played both sides of the ball at a 7A school. I mean, you ask him to do something, he's going to be able to do it. And his skill set's super versatile. I mean, he was getting to the quarterback on the defensive side of the ball, and he doesn't even play there.
I mean, you hear the phrase immovable object and unstoppable force. Dude was both of them. Like, what? Like, you don't see that out of players.
Great addition. I'm going to go out of order, and I don't think you've talked about him yet. If you mention him, it went past my deaf ears, which is possible. Kind of jumping from Braden Joyner to another guy out of Auburn's backyard, JC Hart. Thank goodness that deal got done. And the JC Hart stayed true and stayed at Auburn. There's so many things that go into this. First off, the kid is a baller. Free said it himself earlier today. Kid can play both sides of the ball. We don't know if he's going to play DB or if he's going to play on a skill position on the offense. He really could play wideout. That's been tossed around. He certainly did in high school, tearing it up at Lochapoka. Kid just is a winner. Auburn was his dream school, and the fact that the Friesen company made sure to lock him down and make him a centerpiece and a mainstay of this recruiting class was very, very encouraging from an Auburn fan perspective. So sorry to throw us out of order there, guys. I just felt like those two connected a little bit.
Oh, no, fine. We can talk about JC Hart a little bit. I mean,
I have something to add there.
Hopefully, he doesn't wear number 2, but something you threw a little shade at Brian Harsin. I'm gonna throw a little shade at Gus Malzahn. Something I really love about this class. Y'all weren't Auburn fans as long as I've been an Auburn fan. Gus Malzahn did not recruit defensive backs who were over 6 foot. Like, Gus Malzahn only recruited 5'11" and shorter. Like, we'd have 5'6" guys out there covering 6'4" wide receivers. Hugh Freeze is out here picking up 6'2" guys left and right, and I am all for it.
Tell us about him, Daniel. Talk to us.
So one thing that in this new era of Auburn football and Auburn recruiting that I never want to see again is you have 2 huge high schools right in your backyard in Opelika and Auburn that produce so much talent. And there is zero excuse to not lock those guys down. Because how many coaches can go to a 7A high school and say, okay, you want your family and friends there every Saturday? Done. They're 10 minutes away. That is such an advantage and not one that many people have. So you've got to use that. Got to. You never hear about Nick Saban losing guys from Central Tuscaloosa. Never. So that's not something I ever want to see again.
On to that same tune, I just kind of interrupted. I'm sorry.
You're good.
Brenton Williams, hello.
Yeah, Brenton Williams, the 3-star edge rusher from Opelika High School, about 15 minutes away from where JC Hart and Braden Joyner reside. I would say something about JC Hart being Lochapoka. I mean, it's kind of hard to get outreach from other schools because if you drive through Lochapoka, you lose all service. You can't get phone calls.
I can attest. I'm with you on that. So to the tune of Brenton Williams, let me talk to you about him for half a second.
Yeah.
I had the privilege of watching him a good bit in high school with my time at the Opelika Observer. There's no other way to put it. He's got that dog in him. I mean, it's an impressive technique, good fundamentals, good size. His frame numbers are right in front of me. 6'4", 245, coming off the edge. Signed today. I'm impressed and encouraged by the frame. And I think that his skill set allows, if you need some help on the interior, if you bulk him up a little bit, I think you can. That's just my little 2 cents worth. I'm sorry. So.
You're all good. Just to keep it moving with the recruits, after Braden Jordan, we have a wide receiver recruit in 3-star wide out from Chipley, Florida, DeQuavia Story. And I was looking through some of his stats from high school. This boy can jump.
Video game.
Dude is Super Mario out here catching balls. He's also a track and field runner. I don't know how to exactly to read this, but long jump, 20 feet. Yeah.
That feels long. I don't know.
That sounds really good.
It's a good distance. This boy can jump from what, like I'm trying to put a math, like 10.
The goal line to the 20. Nope, that's not math.
That is yardage.
Hello.
Good sir.
If he could jump 20 yards, sign him and make him a 5-star and just go and put him in the league.
But the high jump, 6 feet. 5'11" and a half, but 6 feet.
Moth season, no?
I'm all for it. This boy is 6'2", 190.
I'm sitting here thinking about the fact there's definitely going to be a graphic in my face on it that says 20 feet from the goal line to the 20.
I would never, I'm doing that. But to keep it moving, to go to my favorite recruit in the entire class, Connor Liu, another Mary Flipmas guy, flipped him from the U, and the U with all your fingers up, not with the 3 on the outside. That is Utah, by the way. Recruits, that's Utah, Miami. They're out there. Started out there.
What
Connor
about
Liu.
the University of Auburn?
Texas.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Texas. Connor Liu, big boy. I love the big boys up front. And Connor Liu is a center. We need a center. This boy could get immediate playing time. And this boy is strong. Like, he is moving big boys out of the way.
There's a couple things going for Connor Liu here that should make Auburn fans very excited. I'm very excited to watch him play. I think he's going to be probably in the starting lineup in 2023. First off, anytime you flip someone from another Power 5, especially like a school like Miami, that's one of those historical programs. We're not going to don't talk about the state of the U right now, whatever may have you. Still a good program to commit to. First off, that's a huge get. Second off, going to be a tremendous help. Most people consider him the best center in the country, and then that's a hard metric to read. It's really tough to kind of get these guys on film and kind of understand how they really function. Really highly regarded. A lot of people, every school in the country wanted them, essentially. So very impressive get for Freeze and company. Huge impact for Auburn immediately.
Daniel, got anything to say about Liu?
So I feel like Liu, and this isn't really about him, but I really believe that Auburn dodged a bullet this time 2 years ago when a lot of people were saying Auburn should hire Mario Cristobal, because I don't think he is nearly the recruiter that people think he is. And by the look on your face right now, I don't think you agree, Dylan, but I think he's
Not right now, Dylan.
Massively overrated.
I'll text you. Just go to 24/7, look up the top 23 classes, and just see where Miami is. But to keep it moving and grooving, Daniel, this is your boy. Colton Hood is up next, the 3-star defensive back who flipped from Michigan State. He is from McDonough, Georgia, right?
Yep.
McDonough. That's about 15 minutes behind him.
McDonough, Georgia. 6'1", by the way. Put it out there again. Above 6 foot. Daniel, take it away.
So, like we already said, Auburn legacy, many, many ways. We're not just talking a dad or an uncle or a brother. We are talking all of those things and a couple of those things for each category. Obviously, not father, it doesn't apply there, but his dad, his uncle, who went on to play 8 years in the league. Throw in a few cousins. I think he has a brother who's also going to hopefully play at Auburn one day. So a guy who was waiting on this offer for a while, and just one that you really have to ask, former coach of Auburn, not going to say his name. I feel like we've done that enough. What were you doing? Because how can you miss this guy?
I'm just going to hit the retweet button. I'm going to let you keep rolling. If I tried to step on Daniel's toes about Colton Hood, I'm afraid he might kill me.
All right. Well, keep it moving and grooving again. Got our first of 2 community college pickups, JUCO Sorry, JUCO.
There you go. I was
South.
That's an interesting way to put it.
Sorry, I see the CC in case. Isaiah Miller, offensive tackle, 3-star from Summit, Mississippi. And might I just say, a certain coach that most Auburn fans wanted lost the commitment of this guy, and he flipped to Hugh Freeze and Auburn. Just throwing it out there. Isaiah Miller is going to be probably an instant impact player. Do you assume?
Yes.
Yes.
And like I said, I'm loving the big boys. This boy is 6'5", 320 pounds of pure muscle.
I am specifically impressed with this acquisition. How about acquisition? Thank you, English. By Jake Thornton and the Auburn staff. I think we kind of knew this was going to happen when Thornton joined Freeze at Auburn after leaving Ole Miss, and conveniently, homeboy decommitted from Ole Miss and committed to Auburn. But this is nonetheless, I mean, that speaks to Freeze's I guess judgment about assembling a staff, right? Objectively, and I was impressed with this get. Immediate help, probably immediate start on the offensive line. Guys, Auburn got better today, and this is a great example.
It's a huge example. And Daniel, got anything on Xavier Miller?
I just have one sentence. I think some Ole Miss fans were capping about what their NIL efforts have been doing recently. So
we'll talk about that when this is
possibly.
We're going to talk about that when we get off this.
All right, and keep it going. Tyler Johnson, offensive tackle, 3-star, 6'6", 300 pounds. Another
good
big
football
boy.
name.
Really
Great
good football name. Great lineman name.
And also keep going. The other JUCO guy, Quintrail Jamison Travis.
How did this guy get left out of how do we forget about Quintrail?
I don't know, but I love a good old 3 name.
We forgot about this is arguing. I have a really good argument for best name in the class.
You're right. And you talk about big boys up front. Get the big boys on the front 7. 6'4", 280 pounds.
Dylan's imagining a UGA-esque defense right now.
Forget Kentucky. We are Big Blue Nation right now. We are Big Blue. And let's see, you got another D lineman, Whitewater from Whitewater High School or Academy, Fayetteville, Georgia. Steven Johnson, 3-star defensive lineman, 6'4", 320 pounds. Oh.
This was an impressive get. And for everyone listening at home, if they're listed as a D lineman or an edge rusher right now, don't even read the position because nobody knows. It's all going to be the crafting of Auburn's defensive staff.
You're right. Edge rushers are just linebackers that are slightly bigger.
Correct. Yeah. No, there's some lean dudes. There's some big dudes, but there's some lean dudes. You're like,
So you take a 300-pound defensive tackle and you make them lose about 20 pounds, defensive end. They lose about 20 more pounds, edge rusher. They loses about 10, 15 more pounds, linebacker.
Yeah. When you're at that edge rusher threshold, it's usually when they're like freshman size. So some of them are athletic enough.
Yeah, exactly. And to wrap up the high school and JUCO recruits, Mr. Hank Brown, which I know, Tarr, you want to talk about Hank Brown?
I'll be quick. I've watched a decent bit of film on him in the past few days. Impressed by his skill. Great arm. Accuracy's there. Freeze obviously sees something in him. He offered him at Liberty. And Hugh mentioned earlier today that he does not offer a quarterback he's not seen throw, which jury's out on that. I guess Grayson McCall has played against Liberty. We don't know about that. There's a whole lot that could go into that. I'm calling just a little bit of bull. But to his credit, I do understand if you're not going to get him a call, if you're not going to go get an NC State, come on, help me out.
Devin Leary.
Yep. If you're not going to go get a Leary, and Ashford's your guy in 2023, which that's a whole other story for another time. We'll have plenty of time on this podcast to talk about that later. This is a good pickup for you development wise. So now it's not just Ashford, Jarner, and a long list of question marks because even Sawyer-Pate's gone. So that's kind of just my 2 cents worth. I'll be interested to see. I don't think he'll be seriously competing for the job in 2023. I mean, weirder things have happened, but a solid add to the quarterback room, and hush the quarterback controversy conversation until the transfer comes in, which we'll talk about transfers later in the week because we got a lot to talk about.
Yes, we do. Daniel, anything on Hank Brown before we move on to the transfers?
Yeah. So the only thing I have is I want this quarterback room to be as crowded as possible because I think the worst thing for Robbie Ashford could mentally be to think that, okay, I've got this on lock. I don't really have to try that hard, which I don't think he's like that. And I'm not trying to say that he is, but iron sharpens iron. And a quarterback battle is the best way to make sure you're ready to go.
That's right.
I will say Robbie does have a severe case of dog.
I'm not saying he does. You're right, but
Another story, another podcast.
All right. And our one transfer pickup of the day, I know Rivaldo Fairweather hasn't signed yet, but we're still expecting him to sign very soon, or at least until next signing day. But Elijah McAllister, 6-year senior from Vanderbilt University. We got a 6-year senior who is smart. A veteran defensive lineman we got.
Does he have his 6th year? Does he have his master's yet?
He's working. He's trying to get his doctorate.
Is he working on a doctorate?
Hey, he's not as old as some other transfers out there, JT Daniels. But
quick little side note, my one thing is folks watching at home, Auburn fans, you need a front seven. This guy's got experience. He was a captain in the Southeastern Conference. He's played beside guys that he's had to put on his back. Now he's going to have some more talent around him. And this is a good pickup, experience-wise, locker room-wise, and talent. I mean, he's going to be, I think, an average to above average edge rusher. So I like this signing a lot, and that's pretty much all I have to say on it.
And he is a teammate of strong safety Donovan Kaufman.
That's right. I forgot about
Both
that.
played at Vanderbilt. Yep.
That's right.
Daniel, got any speech about the transfers?
not really. I'll just kind of retweet what's been said.
Gotcha. All right. Move on to the question segment. Biggest surprise on National Signing Day? Daniel.
Okay. So biggest surprise for me is got to be Keldrick Falk. The jury was out as early today. Train of thought. Like Tarr said, it was kind of an 11th hour kind of thing. I honestly had convinced myself that we weren't going to get it done, but we did. So he's my biggest surprise.
Tarr?
The fathead tweets. No, I'm kidding. Those were really bad, though.
Yeah. I almost made a question about those, but I was like, they don't. That's a tweet. I'm just kidding.
You're right, actually. I don't want to say the whole day in general, but I was pleasantly surprised from a flip standpoint. We'd heard the rumors. You and I had talked earlier in the week about the possibility of getting a handful of these guys. I did not think that everyone. And we're going to get to the disappointments here in a minute. But I think the emphasis on what surprised me the most. I mean, Falk kind of falls into this category, but Auburn's ability to really work the phones all the way down until the guys stepped up to their respective table and put on the hats or whatever you may have it. I was pleasantly surprised with the quick turnaround. Is that an acceptable answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll say my biggest surprise. It's probably not something we should worry about right now or at all. Really, it's when you have a player like Jeremiah Cobb who has been he's been committed longer than most of these guys in the class, especially like a Keldrick Falk and other guys like that who committed the day. He didn't sign the day. I don't know if there's anything we should be worried about. I don't know.
Well, now to Jeremiah Cobb's credit, he did not announce that he would be signing today.
True.
Some of these kids want to take their time through the recruiting process. They should. I think if you want to panic a little bit, panic on a 2. From what I've been told from the folks I've spoke to, Jeremiah Cobb has every intention of signing at Auburn. But I'm with you. That was going to be mine. I just didn't want to rip it from you. But I would not panic too hard about this yet. I think you guys are probably in the same boat now.
Yeah.
Dylan's panicking on a 6 internally, but he'll be okay.
I love a running back committee. I love having 3 good running backs with Jarquez Hunter, Damari Alston, and then bringing Jeremiah Cobb, and it makes the big boys happy too because you just gotta run blocking is fun. Pass blocking not so much. Let's see. Next question up. I'm gonna go with Mr. Tarr here. what is the biggest disappointment of today?
So this was a pretty clear answer. I think that this one could pretty much go all around, and if I didn't say it, one of you guys is going to. The swing and the miss on the Carter guys. The lack of ability to swing James Smith and Quay Russaw out of Montgomery and Carver High School. That was disappointing. It really felt like Auburn was trending that direction. It felt like they were close, and losing them to the other school in the state will get you to UAT, if you will, not to Alabama. But I think that I was not anticipating them to sign with Auburn as much as I was mentally prepared. Does that make sense? I don't know. Like I was kind of prepared for them to sign to Auburn, but I was also kind of prepared for them to both make the obvious choice that they had been with originally with Alabama.
Yeah, I'll kind of retweet what I read on Twitter by a guy who is wearing a Saints hat right now. I kind of agree with what he said. I'll let him elaborate more, but like the lack of top talent in the state of Alabama, and Daniel noticed that. I didn't really even notice it. I wasn't paying that much attention. I was too busy in my own computer making graphics. But Daniel, if you just go ahead and explain like the lack of talent that we got from the state of Alabama.
Sure. So the best guy that we came up with from out the state of Alabama was Falk, who was, according to 24/7 Sports, the number 11 ranked player in the state of Alabama.
And still a huge get.
Do what?
And still a huge acquisition.
Top 100 player nationally.
Yeah, not taking anything away from him at all. But just the fact that we obviously Alabama. I'm not counting them in this because they're a part of the state. Tennessee, Georgia, Clemson, Arkansas, Florida, I think. 5 schools came in here and took at least one top 10 recruit in the state that could have been wearing orange and blue because they would be close to home. So that's something that's got to improve is in-state recruiting.
I agree
wholeheartedly. Let's just move on to, let's see, which signee will make an instant impact once they get their jersey?
I think there's 2 players that the 3 of us are all going to echo the same, and I'll go ahead and I'm going to throw out Connor Lew. We talked about that a minute ago. I don't think I need to talk too much. He's ready. He's built correctly, and getting him in for spring ball. Freeze, look at his chops. I would be. That offensive line is going to get better, and they're going to get better behind Connor Lew. It's going to be immediate.
I'll retweet that. I love me some Connor Lew. So that big boy is going to be leading the charge very soon. Daniel?
I'm going with Darren Reed. The D-line room is wide open, and you need an instant impact player, and I think he knows that, and I think he's ready to be that guy.
He's also a very big
boy. In Keldrick Falk. I thought that one that Falk was going to get mentioned. I think there's a pretty clear route for him to be on the field in 2023.
There's a clear route that the entire class of 2023 is on the field.
That is not true.
Let's see. This biggest flip. Is that unanimous?
Yes.
Yeah.
Keldrick Falk, biggest flip.
Kyan Lee, obviously.
And Kyan Lee.
No, but yes. Falk, your biggest flip. Kyan Lee, a close second. And anytime you flip someone from Tennessee, hello.
I mean, it's not hard to take a defensive player away from Tennessee. They didn't want to play it last year anyways.
What do you do?
And let's see. Favorite recruit. Last question. Favorite recruit.
Do I need to answer?
Tarr, let me just say, could it be Hank Brown? No.
He's up there.
Is it I feel like it's a defensive player.
Kyan Lee, move on.
Kyan Lee is Tarr's answer. Daniel, favorite recruit the class 2023?
I've got 2. I've got to go with Braden Joyner just because his loyalty to the program. He wants to play for it. But then I've got to go with Colton Hood. And I'm not going to go into it. I already have twice. So
both good answers.
And you already know mine. Love the big boys. Give me Connor Lew, baby. I love him, especially with his recruitment pictures with the sledgehammer. If Robbie Ashford might not get sacked in my headcanon. Got to be honest.
You got to keep moving forward.
All right. Next to last question, because I have a little joke question I want to ask you at the end. But overall grade,
B+.
B+.
Really
Tar?
good. Could have been better. Could have been worse. Sort of like me in geography this semester. I made a B+. I think that's what they deserve.
That's a hell of a reason. A-. I was impressed, and I got a little bit of flack for it on Twitter, and I said this earlier that what Hugh Freeze and company did today was nothing short of impressive. If this would have been a full year, they'd have been sitting at a B-. With a short turnaround, I'm going to give him an A-. And I think that's fair.
I'm going to retweet that as well. Within a month, he has moved Auburn from the 52nd class to the number 19 class in under a month. I almost find it hard to believe not to give it like a moderate to a high A, but I mean, I got to pump the brakes a little bit, so I got to keep it an A-.
You do have to keep looking at the composite.
I do have to.
Not mind.
But the fact, but the fact that there's still room to move even higher up.
Auburn's not done yet.
And that brings me to my final question. This is for anybody. Are we finished?
No.
As Kobe Bryant once said, job's not finished.
Auburn. Well, let me put it this way. Auburn fans got a lot to be excited about. You got the meat today. You're gonna get your fried okra and your mashed potatoes and gravy coming in the spring. I could be wrong, and if so, just clip this and just go and throw it on Twitter and clown me. That's okay. I feel very strongly. Don't rule this class out of being in the composite between, I mean, obviously not high school recruits, but composite between high school and transfer. Don't rule this out from being a top 15 class in the country.
Sick. Well, you heard it here first. Auburn's gonna be a top 15 class, and if we're not,
I don't think I said that.
You have my full permission to clown by Harrison Tarr. That is BY Harrison Tarr with 2 R's.
Just hit the follow. That's all right, because
you don't have to follow him. Just clown him. It's fine. You have my full permission. You don't need his. You have mine. But from me, go ahead and give your little outros. From me, Harrison.
Are you pointing at me?
Yeah.
Oh, Harrison Tarr, the Auburn Daily.
Daniel Locke, Weagle 91.1 FM and Eagle Eye TV.
And Dylan Larck from my office space. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays from the College Loop Podcast.
Merry Flipmas, baby. Y'all have a good one.
Merry Flipmas.